Welcome to episode 238 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. Oh, look, Sea Anal Side Exotics is our first person in the chat.
Oh my gosh.
As usual.
Did you tell Robert? Did you tell Robert about the message you got today?
Oh, in the Discord?
Yeah.
One of our Discord people was looking at a map and saw a canal. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That was not me.
I'm in the Discord, so I saw all that.
That had to be you, Katie.
It's not me. I didn't touch anything.
It doesn't, I don't think it matters if you touch anything. It just, something happened. So Katie's in a car for those that are listening to the podcast. And she sucks at technology, so she's trying to figure out how to use AirPods.
For the first time I've ever used AirPods, I will have you know. My
So,
husband doesn't love me or buy me presents.
You bought
buys
me the
presents.
AirPods.
I know. You could have
And
bought
you bought
me
your own kid AirPods instead of buying yourself
did.
AirPods.
She could have bought me AirPods.
Anyways.
Robert loves me. He buys.
Anyways, one of our listeners saw on the map it said Canal Street or something, and they read it as Sea Anal because that's how you're supposed to read that.
Oh my stars!
Yeah, Sea Anal said it was your feedback.
But how? It's an AirPod.
And now we get to listen to your blinker.
Oh my God! Do you want me to just hang up and you can do this without me?
No,
Because
get to a parking lot and sit your ass somewhere.
Somebody had to parent. I'm sorry, I'm using a blinker because you yell at me when I don't.
Because you don't use it 90% of the time, and I paid extra for them.
Oh my God!
Sit your ass in a parking lot.
I'm fixing to park. Thank you.
My God. Anyways, hey everybody in the chat. A lot of folks in the chat. So we had a fun weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went to Texas Carpet Fest in Johnson City at Reptilandia. That was a blast. Got to hang out with a bunch of cool folks. Got to hang out with our friends at the house, and then got to hang out with a bunch of cool folks at Reptilandia and see Reptilandia both during the day and at night. And at night was awesome. So I will be putting out videos for Reptilandia trip on Patreon in the future. I don't want to promise a date, and it'll probably be multiple videos just because it was a lot. We recorded a lot of stuff there. So. But if you do join our Patreon now, you can go see our video from when we went to the Houston Zoo. I've gotten a couple of people that have watched it. I got some feedback, and overall, they seemed happy with it. So go join our Discord, or not Discord, our Patreon. You can
Everybody's
see
happy with it.
Were you able to post the whole thing at one time, or did you have to
Yes.
split it like you thought?
No, it was a whole
cool.
video.
So it was just you just had to do it
was
from
just
your
the phone,
computer
yeah.
instead of your phone.
Yep. So the whole video is over there. And you can
Cool.
see the reptile collection of the Houston Zoo. And
So
listen
exciting.
to Robert and I blabber on about stuff at the Houston Zoo.
Very, very cool.
But yeah, I'll put out the one for Reptilandia and for Texas Carpet Fest soon. I got to use my drone on the trip. That was fun.
That picture turned out awesome too.
And it didn't get attacked by a hawk. So that's
It did
that's
not,
awesome.
even though Joe gave you shit the whole time.
I have PTSD around birds.
He had his mind made up that a harpy eagle had attacked your drone.
Joe had also had a pretty good day by the time that moment came around.
Oh God. I was like, oh what? And he's like, wasn't it like a harpy eagle? I was like, it was absolutely not.
Joe was having fun that day.
Well, I'm glad they had a good time. Everybody deserved to have a good time that weekend.
Yep, he had a really good time by the time he started talking about harpy eagles.
I
flying
sat
in
in
the
a
sky.
chair and did needlepoint, so it was.
Yeah, you're old.
great.
We get it. You're 80 years old. You were the most
Shut up!
second most boring person there at the show.
How
Texas Carpet
dare you tell me that I am boring, Mister?
You just said you were doing needlepoint.
So, it's what I wanted to do.
Yep. Apparently, I'm not a big corn fan, but there was an amazing corn dish that was at the thing. But I don't think any of us ate it. I think
I'm really sad that I didn't get to try it though, but I didn't have my lactate pills with me, and normally there's a cream or a crema in there, and that would have made me start vomiting.
our friend Megan offered up to be somebody's child if they would make her corn dishes. That was weird.
That was funny.
Ashley Howdy came back. Her second serving of corn was a full plate. I don't know what the first serving was, but her second serving of corn was a full plate. I know that they raised over.
Doesn't fall off.
What?
I just glued Evie's head on, and I'm hoping it doesn't fall off before the glue sets.
I know they raised over $1,000 for U.S. Ark
Yep.
during the auction, so that was cool.
Yep. Your dad said, "Corn. When did I eat corn?"
Yeah, that's
Corn.
You don't
is
know
only
that
food you
story.
can see again.
Robert, have you ever heard that story?
What story?
No,
the story about
when Sam comes to visit, I'll have him tell you that.
Sam
story.
has to tell the story because he's better at it.
Yeah.
Michael Taylor said $1,095 raised the auction.
That's awesome.
Texas Carpet Fest.
That's spectacular.
So, yeah, all I know at the auction is that Katie almost got divorced.
Katie got
because of Megan.
Because of Megan.
Was fabulous.
The Howdies from Focus Cube had a cage at the auction. I just need you to understand we don't have any spare money. And when they started the auction, the first voice I heard from across the front from the yard there was $300 from my wife. We don't have $300.
When I tell you James's head whipped around,
I looked at
me.
I said,
goes,
I swear to God, that better not be my wife.
wife.
And Robert's like, I don't think that was your wife. I was like, no, that was my wife.
Megan was like, that was 100% worth it, and I wish I had more money so you could keep bidding.
And then every other auction item, our buddy Paul just seemed to make everybody end up paying $100.
Of course.
Paul just kept bidding until it got to 100, and he's like, "No, I'm good."
God,
And then he didn't win anything. So it was a blast.
It was fun. We had a great
we
time. We got to see Lewis.
We did get to see our buddy Lewis from Lil's
Shop of Horrors.
You want to do go?
Who operates a commercial feeder breeder facility based out of San Antonio, Texas, and they specialize in rats, mice, dubia roaches, Madagascar hissing cockroaches, and more. They are feeder breeders, and they focus on the nutritional needs of the animals that consume them. Nationwide shipping is available on live insects. For frozen rodent shipments, you need to reach out to check for availability in your area. If you're looking to place an order, feel free to contact them through any of their social media pages at Lil's Shop of Horrors, or email them through their inquiries page at Lil's, Lils, shopofhorrors.com.
Yeah, and he told us he was upping his mice game. He just got a whole bunch more mice, female mice. So
that's cool.
Go check out Lewis and get that. Herp's Reptile Shows. Go ahead and plug while we're plugging stuff. Let me plug that stuff real quick. Herp's Reptile Shows. Our next one is November 2nd, November 3rd. I will be there. I don't know if I'll be doing the podcast because Katie won't be there. Robert won't be there. He'll be off playing with big boob women at the Ren Fair. But I will have snakes for sale there. So come see me. I'll have boas and sand boas. Come please buy a snake. Then November 9th, November 10th, Sulphur, Louisiana. That's the one down near Lake Charles, if you remember the Lake Charles show. Then November 16th, November 17th is West Monroe, Louisiana. Then November 23rd, November 24th is Denison, Texas. Austin, Texas is December 7th, December 8th. Slidell, Louisiana is December 14th, December 15th.
Where is Denison?
Up north of Dallas, almost Oklahoma.
Yeah. Then speaking of Oklahoma, the first show of the year, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, January 11th, January 12th. And then Longview, Texas, January 18th, January 19th. So those are the Herp shows. Come check us out at the Herp shows. See all of our friends. We saw a lot of them this weekend. We got to see our buddy Michael Pinnell. That was cool. Got to see Brett Bender and talked WOMAs with him for a little bit. We stayed at the house with Carl, who I guess we'll have to get on here at some point. We'll have to get Carl on here. And Joe and Brittany. So
yeah, that was fun. We talked about doing a Reptile Gumbo podcast day to the Houston Zoo.
Yeah, we'll do a Reptile
Gumbo
podcast.
Her husband were there. I didn't hear if you said that or not.
Oh yeah, Nakia and her husband were there. I think they were.
Whose name is also Carl.
Is it really?
Yeah, his is Carl with a K.
Good to know. Carl with a C's wife is Stephanie.
Good job.
Hey, I remembered it. Okay, good. I don't feel so bad now.
She was a good sport.
She was.
For having for not knowing any of, well, she knew Joe and Brittany, but for not knowing any of us, and James and I can say some pretty, you guys know, you've been listening to us for a long time. James and I can say some pretty wacky shit.
I don't. I'm professional at all times.
Why has Kyle Graff got a fucking
Kyle, what the fuck, man? Don't bring up the internet. God damn it. If this cuts out now, it's your fault. This is like when you watch a football game and like, this kicker hasn't missed a field goal in 30 kicks.
That happened to me 2 weeks ago. I said, Kaime Fairbairn hasn't missed one under 50 yards this. Oh, they went a 33-yarder wide.
See, you can't say shit like that. Anyways, what else we got going on real quick before we get? I think that's it. Not a lot of reptile stuff left. I got Sam boas and baby boas to feed after this. That'll be fun. Robert's got a Brettles python that needs a home if anybody's looking for a really pretty hypo Brettles.
Yes, he does. He needs to find a home soon, and he's priced well under market.
So if you're looking for a really, really pretty Brettles male, check out Robert. I'm sending him a message.
Hypo Het Stonewash.
Yeah.
I learned this weekend that it was produced by Casey Cannon, so you can't really get better quality.
Yeah. So get you a Brettles. They're an awesome python. If you don't have one, you should definitely get one. They're very pretty. Anything else going on? Robert's just 3D printing stuff over there.
Yep.
I have like 60 applications to go through for zoology club, and it's kind of stressing me out a little bit.
Just
which is great though, because that means we have a ton of interest in zoology club. It's just that I was not expecting to triple the interest in zoology club in just a year. So I've had to find
another teacher.
Well, I did actually. One of my co-teachers, the one who came to our house the other day, is actually going to be my co-sponsor for the club. So that's really cool. Now that she has 2 ball pythons. Yeah, she got 1 ball python from us, and then she got another one from our friend Alok.
Yes, I'm down 1 ball python. Thank God. Although I say that I have to get a ball python from our buddy Travis Wyman. Michael wants to know what the qualifications are for zoology club. Well, first you have to be in elementary school at her school.
Yeah. So it's
and not be a turd.
Yeah. Yes. So I actually, hold on, let me lock my door because I just got back in the car.
Katie, your picture posted on your thing up there. It looks like you're in a wheelchair.
Oh my God, James.
Kind of does.
Is that better now that it's me?
I'll go back to
the
the
parking
other
lot. Shut up, Robert. I was just being nice to you.
Look, Katie. Look.
Don't we want to bring our guests in and we could talk about zoology club with her too, or
we could. I just want to answer Michael's question real quick.
Okay. So it's for pre-K through 5th grade.
No turds.
I do not take into consideration academics. So if they are struggling academically, zoology club is still something where they can come and learn things, but they do have to have good behavior.
That was my idea.
It was your idea, and I think it's a great idea, and a lot of parents love it. If they are pre-K, kindergarten, 1st grade, they cannot stay after school for meetings just because nobody wants to deal with that age group after school without a snack, and I'm not going to feed them. But we are doing once a month family outings where the families can come and do things. And then we post other things going on around town.
Yeah, we did an outing at our friend.
We went to the Learning Zoo. Had a great time. They came to Wildlife Conservation Day. I had a handful of zoology club kids come that day.
Yeah, I got to show them the Chinese alligator. By the way, I have a Chinese alligator at my house.
They loved it. In November,
13 minutes and 13 seconds.
In November, we're going to be going down to the Sea Center in Lake Jackson. I may actually do the Arboretum in November and then do the Sea Center in January when it's
We went to the Arboretum, right?
Inside. We've been to the Arboretum, yes.
That's a really cool place in Houston.
There's actually, and it's free. So that's the other thing is I try to find stuff that's inexpensive or free for them to do. And then I will have something fun set up for that. Wildlife Conservation Day, there's all kinds of stuff they could see and be hands-on with. The Learning Zoo, I set it up so that we were there as a group and we got a program and they got hands-on and we got to take our picture holding their big snake. And so that was a lot of fun. But then 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade can stay after school for programs where I have people come in. Our friend Hayden brought Goose last year and we got to watch him fly around in the gym, which was phenomenal. I've already had 2 kids asking if she's coming back this year with Goose or with other birds because she has several birds that she is going to bring. So I've already got that in the works with her. You're going to come and bring KP. We'll have the Chinese alligator one day, probably the pine snakes one day. We'll focus on endangered species. We're going to go out to Croc Encounter at one point. We'll probably kind of book almost like a birthday party. So we have an area where we can sit and eat. I may do a cake and we'll do a scavenger hunt and a tour and feed stuff. And
okay.
I want them to learn what there is around here. And actually on the application they fill out, I had one of the moms, her reason for her child joining, because her child's in kindergarten, she typed in, she goes, he loves reptiles and I'm absolutely terrified. We thought this would be good for both of us. And I was like, I love that so much. So I really hope he's not a turd when his teacher fills out the behavior form.
So, anyways, there's all that.
The long answer.
So yeah, and then also coming up, our buddy Sajak from the Netherlands is coming over, and we're gonna give him the tour of all the stuff in our area of Texas, and then he's gonna.
Have you talked to him to finalize any of that?
I mean, he's coming to Texas. It's not that he just comes here, and then we're like, "Hey, where you at?"
But we
in
need
Texas.
dates.
It's a small place. He'll be able to find us. Texas isn't that big.
We have a busy schedule. We need to book things.
We can make time for the guy from the nether regions.
Okay, fine.
Anyways, all right. So you brought up Conservation Day. So let's get to our guest who is at World Conservation Day. So I'm going to find my mouse so I can click up, and then Katie disappeared. So our guest tonight is Jessica Coleman from Lumpy Lizard. Hold on. I'm going to get it all. Lumpy Lizard Reptile, Poultry, and Exotic Rescue.
Yeah, that name gives me so many headaches. I came up with it, and it makes paperwork really hard.
Yeah, I could tell. I couldn't put the entire name on the podcast because when I went to go like publish the podcast, it was like must be less than 100 letters long.
Yeah, we say Lumpy Lizard Rescue all the time. If I could rebrand or like now and still keep everything the way it was, I would. I don't know why I thought it needed to be weirdly specific at the time, especially since it doesn't even cover everything.
It is oddly specific to be like poultry and then exotics. Like,
well, it was really my original like rescue thing was going to be like poultry birds. That's what it was gonna.
I like to rescue them and then like release them into the grease.
Mine are all old and not edible. Like
everything's edible if you're hungry enough. I've lived in Louisiana, and I promise you, over there, everything is edible.
Now we vacationed in Louisiana. We went through New Orleans, and we had some alligator on the way, and it was pretty good.
New Orleans, though, is not Louisiana. For anybody out there, not Louisiana. New Orleans is New Orleans. It is its own world.
100%.
It's like the only place I've ever been that was exactly what I expected it to be.
If you're expecting it to smell like pee and beer, it is exactly what
I expected. Like,
it will not let you down.
Yeah, Bourbon Street. We did not spend long there. I don't drink, so we just like went to like look at it and then.
Yeah, I don't drink either, so it's kind of wasted on me. I'm kind of like I've been there a couple times, and the Audubon Zoo is too expensive to go to.
Yeah,
I drank there once.
We did a couple of those like little creepy museums, and like they have one that's like full of Ouija boards. But I collect antique Ouija boards, and they didn't have a single one I don't already have. So I was like, well, that was like $10 wasted.
The World War II Museum is amazing.
The World War II Museum is amazing.
It takes 2 days to go through it.
And there's a brick outside with my grandfather, my step grandfather's name on it. So
I love museums. Love them.
World War II one is definitely a great one.
I'd like the more weirdly specific, the better. Like there's a National Pigeon Museum in Oklahoma City, and we went to that.
You lost me. I was about to say I'd love to go to that, and then you said Oklahoma. It's not gonna happen.
We went for like a outlaw no prep event. It was super fun. Oh, Andrew's here. Hello, my love.
Hello, Andrew. I'm glad you get to hear this. I apologize for everything else, but enjoy. Megan says she wants to go to the Pigeon Museum.
Yeah,
I'd totally go if they'd move it out of Oklahoma.
It was pretty small, but it was super cool. It was everything I wanted it to be. I still have like a t-shirt.
So it was a museum on pigeons.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
and
we'll give it away, Katie.
Like the history of pigeons.
Yes, and it talked about a lot like their service in wars. And what is that one's name? Something French. He's like a famous pigeon because he got like shot out of the sky like 3 times and still got his like lost an eye and like a leg or something and still got his message to where it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
isn't that a country that just eats pigeon? Like they're big on eating pigeon in France. Why would just think like it lost a leg and someone was like, we could just go ahead and eat it.
So that famous one's name was Chez Ami.
That one, thank you.
Does it mean tasty?
I totally just Googled this.
I don't know how I thought that was going to be pronounced, but that wasn't it.
was a famous French homing pigeon who served in World War I
There you
and
go.
is now on display at the Smithsonian Museum of American History.
I would do some morally questionable shit to be able to go to the Smithsonian. I want to go so bad.
Oh, you haven't been?
Oh,
I
it's
love
awesome.
the Smithsonian.
So, fun fact, the Museum of American History has automatic bathrooms, but the Museum of Natural History,
Stop.
at least this was like 10 years ago.
You're gonna have to explain what an automatic bathroom is.
I had that
automatic
question.
toilet.
Thanks.
It's an automatic toilet.
Because you just made it sound like you walk in there and all of a sudden you shit. And you didn't even know what happened. It just happened.
I was like, I feel like I need to control
No,
that.
it's
Where
a
did
little
my
bit.
shit go?
Call me a control
so
freak,
10
but-
years ago, they had automatic toilets, but the Natural History Museum did not. And our child, who was mortified of automatic toilets,
She was so our kid.
refused
Yeah, when
to
she was
do
little.
his bathroom
He was
there.
little.
When our kid was little, she was horrified of the sound. And what was funny is we didn't tell my dad, and he was taking care of her one day, and they went to a bathroom, and she freaked the fuck out, and he didn't know how to. He didn't know the trick. You got to take the toilet paper and put it over the sensor, and
I
then you
just
can
held
do
my
all you
hand
want.
over it and covered it.
But I could just
But
see
yeah.
this big ogre-looking man with a fucking little girl in the bathroom screaming.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So yeah, but James's grandparents at the time lived in DC, right outside of DC, and so when Josephine and I would go visit, her and I would spend like a day with them, and then we would go spend a day at museums. And I was like, we're gonna get to do something other than bones, because natural history was her favorite.
Love the Natural History Museum.
And
Oh, man.
yeah, no, we made
Show me
it
all the
far
bones.
enough to the bathroom, and then we got to see the flag, and we got to see Dorothy's shoes from The Wizard of Oz, and then she had to potty. We made it to the bathroom, and then we walked the block to the other one, and she held it long enough to get there, because she said to me, the other one has regular toilets. And I was like, fuck, she's right. Luckily, the museums are free, and we didn't have to pay to go in. But yeah, that's as far into American history as she got when she was 4. Was the 2 exhibits. And,
African American
the bathroom.
History Museum is awesome. They have a great
That
section
was
on music.
phenomenally well done.
And I love
That
when
one you
museums
did have to
specific
get.
museums.
That one you had to get tickets for, though, because it hadn't been open for very long.
Oh, yeah,
And it was
slam.
still such a big deal and so you had like a timed entry that you had to be, so it was free, but you still had a timed entry, and you still, like, it was very tough.
And then
to
there's
get
also
in.
the zoo. The zoo there is free also. You can just walk right on into the zoo.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they did timed entries with COVID just to like limit the people that were in there, but they haven't done that in a couple years.
They
That
closed my
you
favorite
need a
part.
good 2 days.
They used to have
see.
an invertebrate house underneath the reptile house. I used to love the invertebrate house, but they closed it. And it always had like a giant Pacific octopus and spiders and cuttlefish, and they closed
I'm
it.
insufferable to go to zoos with. I'm the
I don't
worst
know.
person to go to a zoo with. Because I'm just like, those animals are cohab. They don't need to be cohab. That animal is overweight. Why doesn't that Komodo dragon have more space? I'm awful. I'm not any fun at those. I love going. Nobody likes going with me.
See, you haven't been to Reptilandia yet?
So how did you
No.
handle all the cohab stuff? I was just about to ask.
She hasn't gone.
Have you been?
I have not been.
You gotta go see their
The,
cohab stuff.
the
It's
cages
awesome.
are just so insanely huge that
I think that if it was
you don't
huge,
even
maybe I
realize,
wouldn't throw a
though.
fit. Yeah, maybe
I
if
mean-
it was like huge, like enough space, maybe I wouldn't throw a fit. But I've seen some like cohab.
I mean, the croc
animals at
monitors are
zoos.
in a cage that's 60 foot long, 30 foot tall, and 15 foot deep. So
Math is hard.
it's the size of a house, a small
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's 3 croc monitors and 2 self-fed dragons, and they can literally go the entire day without seeing each other if they
See,
want
that's
to.
great because that happens like in their natural habitat, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So every enclosure there is set up like a natural habitat. with
right. And
Yeah, they're
Tons
all
of hiding
themed by
places,
location.
water features.
Yeah. see, that
I mean,
kind of thing I'm
literally-
fine with.
The plated lizards sit on top of the giant African rock python and sun. The coach whip, last time we were there, the coach whip was curled up on top of the black-tailed rattlesnake under the heat.
Man,
I remember that. Yeah,
So
so like, where
had
is
this
that?
huge, massive
It's in
exhibit to
Johnson
hang out
City.
in, and they're right
I
on
need
top
to
of
go
each
there.
other.
You have to go. It's the best reptile. It's
Or like
one of the best
blue-
zoos, but
The blue tree and the green tree monitors, they're in different enclosures, but those enclosures are 30 feet tall. They're probably what, 4x4 by 30,
yeah.
and they're
See,
always at the very top.
every time I give one of my animals more space, all I want to do is give them even more space.
Yeah.
Like every time I give them like a bigger enclosure, I'm just like, this could be bigger and it would be great.
Yeah. And they use it.
They use it and they love it.
Our friend Brian Lovins has moved all of his leopard geckos outside into big outdoor communal enclosures.
Oh, wow.
And they're going up to the top of, I don't know how tall they are, 12, 15 feet. He's finding them up at the very top basking.
Man.
Things that we don't think leopard geckos do. And
Right.
they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's get back to tell us about lumpy lizard, reptile, poultry, and exotic rescue.
So if I would have thought it would have gotten me uninvited from like elementary schools and stuff, I would have called it Weird Shit Rescue. Because the city that I live in, little town, Edna, Texas, animal control only has dog facilities. So anytime they get a weird call, I get the weird call. And so I was really into like poultry birds. And I'd had reptiles, but I wasn't really like into rescuing reptiles. But I got into wildlife rescue and poultry birds. And once you rescue anything that's like not a dog or a cat, you become that person.
Wait.
Really,
You're in Edna?
Edna, yes. Right by Mike Price. That's what everybody's thinking probably right now. Yes.
Well, I guarantee you that no one is thinking what I'm thinking, because there's a writer in education that lives there, and she has like a studio that she does like writing workshops in. And
Stop it, Katie.
I was recently invited to come,
Stop it.
but I was like, I've never
We're
been
not
to
at
Edna.
school. Shush.
That sounds super
She was
fun.
really cool. You didn't sit in the workshop, okay?
Okay, I think Chris Dieter's having a stroke because
Why?
I can't read whatever language he just wrote in the chat.
That is definitely a language I don't understand.
It's definitely letters. I don't know if it's a language.
But so we get all these weird calls. And, you rescue one reptile and then you're the reptile lady, right? You rescue one chicken and you're the chicken lady. I'm currently the pig lady. We have like 1 million pigs.
Yeah, you've been branded.
Anyone that wants a potbelly pig, call me. We have 1 million of them.
Are you going to lie to them and tell them it stays small?
Oh my God, that's why I have them.
I love everybody. I want a mini pig. They don't fucking exist. There's no such thing as a mini pig.
But his mom was only 30 pounds. That's because his mom was like 5 months old. Like his mom, also a baby. So we have like 1 million. And we also have like one giant monstrosity of a market pig. Her name is Dara. She destroys everything and she's never done anything wrong in her entire life. She's perfect.
So I was talking this weekend with some of our friends and we were talking about pigs. And they're the weirdest animal to me because you can simply take that giant market pig, throw it in the woods, come back in 6 months, and it's covered in hair, has tusks, and it is physically changed into a monster.
Man, yeah. Pigs are insane. Like biologically, they're weird. And we have like a wild hog problem. And I was very, very concerned that she was going to attract them to the rescue. So far, we haven't had that problem, but we have had a bunch of escapees from down the street who have found the rescue. Like sometimes we just show up and there's extra pigs.
That sounds terrifying.
Wild pigs are terrifying. Luckily, we haven't had to deal with that. But the people down the street from us have potbelly pigs, and sometimes we just show up and there's pigs. We did have 2 that were dropped off at some point. We think because we don't know where they came from. But yeah, so we just get all these weird calls. There's a lot of species that we take in that like nobody around us takes in. We're 100 miles from Houston. We're further from Austin and Corpus, and there's not any, it's all rural around here. So we get all of those calls. And we get a lot of calls that are like, I have this 10-foot reticulated python. Nobody else will take it. Well, no shit. So we take them when we can. I get a lot of like large animals for that reason. So yeah, it's just, I just never know what's going to be on my voicemail when I wake up in the morning. We got a groundhog in recently. I have a groundhog. His name is Gouda, like the cheese. Actual groundhog. Somebody asked me to take him. I was positive it was going to be a prairie dog, and it was not. I have 2 of those, but he is definitely not a prairie dog. He's a whole groundhog.
Chris Eater said his Crocs won't eat the wild pigs with hair.
He
That's
also,
interesting.
I translated the Chinese that he wrote, and it says, "How is my dragon doing?" Which is what it said. I'm assuming he means it's the alligator, which is doing fine. I fed it some croc chow before I came up here because it was begging for food, like a little starving puppy.
So
Every time I walk in there.
you don't have to have like any type of special permits for.
So I do have some permitting for like some wildlife. I work with Gulf Coast Wildlife Rescue, and I do rescue wildlife. But like birds, I'm like sub-permitted for birds because I don't like rehab most of them to release. I take them in and like send them to someone with a better facility. But yeah, I do have some permitting, and
No,
yeah,
so like
so
these people just had them illegally.
so the groundhog was bred in captivity. He's a pet.
We can buy groundhogs, Katie.
I did not know that.
What?
I did not know that. He was
I
bred
didn't
in
either.
Iowa. And he was in great shape. He's healthy. His old owner still follows the page and she sees him. Yeah, I just had no idea that there was a pet trade for groundhogs. I don't know why I'm surprised. There's a pet trade.
I mean, Katie, we've seen prairie dogs at herp shows all the time.
Well, I will see, but the prairie dogs, I guess that doesn't, because you can't, like, prairie dogs don't just live outside, but like groundhogs.
What do you mean they
live
don't? Wait, hold on.
No,
Stop.
We don't have
we don't have
groundhogs
prairie
here, but
dogs
we have.
here.
Stop, Katie. What do you mean they
We don't
don't just live
groundhogs here.
outside? Where the
Prairie
fuck do you
dogs in
think
Texas?
prairie dogs live?
Yes.
Yes.
No, like we have
Mine are
Open the
very
panhandle.
pampered, so they live inside.
Oh. I
But
didn't
yeah,
know
we have-
that prairie dogs lived in Texas.
Yeah.
But
They
still, to say
do.
they don't live outside, what does that even
Yeah,
mean?
but
That's
I don't
not
think
what I meant. That's not
as
what I
far
meant.
down as I am, I don't think we have wild prairie dogs.
We don't. Like Amarillo is about as far south as you see them.
But
Huh.
We saw
but
them
I
in
do have
Amarillo.
two.
Remember, James?
I have two, and I love them very much. One of them, his name is Sharknado, and he broke my pet sitter's finger once. So those are the kind of animals I get in.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. He's adorable and precious to me and my husband, but apparently nobody else. We found out while I was on vacation.
So, how tired do you get of getting like baby squirrels and possums and stuff?
Oh my God, I get so many. I have a possum tattoo. Let me see if I can show it, everybody. Hello.
Whoa.
Ooh. What was that?
Yikes. I don't know.
What was that? I don't know. It stopped.
It's
But
done
yes,
now.
I love possums and squirrels. I love possums way more than squirrels because I can feed it by cramming a tube down its throat, and that's way easy. Just bloop. Squirrels I have to teach to nurse. But it's so many, especially possums. They come in sometimes in sets of 10. And we tube feed them. And I do not have any baby possums or squirrels right now, and it's beautiful.
How often do you get things in that aren't babies that like you're just like you could have just left this out there and it'd have been fine?
Lots of turtles.
We used to get alligators when I worked at the zoo. They'd bring us baby alligators. I'm like, what are you doing?
I rescued this from what? Its home?
It's like
Right.
you kidnapped it. You didn't rescue anything.
It happens a lot with turtles. Like Texas tortoises. I don't know anybody. I don't know why people find them and then think that they need to pick it up. Like it lives there. It's outside. Well, yes, that's where it lives.
Do you have Texas tortoises that far north in Edna?
I've never actually seen one wild in Edna. But we do have them nearby.
I picked up one last year in Manville, right here in Brazoria County.
Oh, wow.
From someone's yard, and they showed me a dead one in the ditch that had been hit by a car.
Oh my God.
250 miles from the nearest one log in iNaturalist, but we kind of determined that it was probably somebody collected them and then realized they were illegal and let them go.
Set it free. Like that's not better. That's not better. Please don't do that. Yeah. And so we get those in, and we get like box turtles. Everybody who sees a box turtle just picks it up. I'm just like, please put it back. It lives there. Please stop rescuing things from where they live and bringing them to where they don't live.
It's almost as bad as someone that goes to the pet store and goes, I rescued this from the pet store. Bitch, you bought something from the pet store.
Thank you. But it was in bad shape, and so are the next 5 that they're going to purchase with the money you gave them.
Christina jokingly said those
They
tortoises.
just shut down a pet store in Santa Fe 2 weeks ago. They took over 900 animals out of it.
Jeez.
It's the third or fourth
Oh my
time that they've
gosh.
raided it.
Oh my
But
god.
now that's counting a bunch of fish, but it was like, I read a thing, they had like 20 ball pythons in a 20-gallon long.
Oh my god.
It seems about right. They're just ball pythons.
They had puppies, they had miniature horses, pigs.
Like, how does it get there? Because every now and then I hear of like a rescue that I thought was really, really great. And then somebody goes in and like everything is malnourished and overcrowded. And every time that happens, I go and like feed all my animals. Like I panic.
Chris, it was that
Yeah,
place
you
called
get paranoid almost.
I do. I panic and like I close intake for a couple of days to make sure that I'm like where I need to be. I'm really lucky. I have volunteers that will be like, "Hey, Jessica, I noticed that this animal has lost a little weight, so maybe we should do this." Or, "Hey, I read this diet thing, and I think we should try it with the pig." I have a volunteer named Allison who like knows everything there is to know about like anything with hooves. And so she's really good about, hey, it's getting cooler, so let's change their diet to this. And so I have volunteers that will come to me with solutions.
Hey, Robert, was a place on 6?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the old Arcadia feed store right there at Highway 6 in Jackson. And a guy named Greg used to own it, and he was a piece of shit. He owned a pet store in Dickinson before that. He was a piece of shit there. But he recently died from cancer, and someone else bought it, and apparently that guy's a piece of shit too. And yeah, so Houston SPCA has all those animals now.
Great. Because they're not overwhelmed at all, I'm sure.
Yeah, no,
that is insane.
If you go to the Houston SPCA's website right now, they have their front page is them asking for donations to
Oh my gosh.
try and do some of these 9. I think they had 15 or 20 sulcatas.
Oh my god.
I mean, it was bad.
Are they looking for people to foster these animals as well, or just looking for donations to help with the cost?
Both. I'm sure both.
I get asked to take surprisingly few sulcatas.
Really?
For a rescue, yeah, I get asked to take them very, very seldom. I don't know if they're just easy to rehome down here, because I know some places are like wildly overpopulated with them.
Don't we have a sulcata rescue in Texas? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
There's a tortoise rescue in Central Texas too. There's Central Texas.
Literally had them on, Katie.
Because we've had them on.
So maybe that's why I don't get the calls, because they do.
I couldn't think of what they were called.
Yeah, we only have 2 sulcatas. We have Big John and Amos Moses, and that's all.
All right, so here's the heartless part of me. I'm looking at the Houston SPCA, and they got a shit ton of mice and rats on here. I'm just saying I could help them out and get rid of them pretty quick.
See, I can't like eat or feed things that I knew personally. Like I can't eat it, I can't feed it to my animals. If I knew it personally, like it lives with me for the rest of its life.
Yeah, I don't know them personally. We're good.
I order all of my animals. I order like all of my feeders frozen. I occasionally for the turtles that like came from the wild. Every now and then like we'll like go fishing and catch some perch, and I'll like toss some perch in there, but that's like as close to live feeding as I get.
Yeah.
They don't have any reptiles.
We knew someone when we lived in Louisiana that she bred show rabbits, and every now and then she would have one born that like didn't fit whatever standard she was looking for, or she'd
if its teeth were too long, or if it was whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
Coleman, she brought them to my house and I had to kill them. That was cool.
Yeah.
See, I can't do it. I'm such a baby. I can kill something if it's unhealthy and like I know it's gonna suffer.
I can kill 4 rabbits. I know for a fact that is my limit, because she once brought me 8.
Oh,
and after I hit the 4th one with a big stick and killed it, and looked at the other 4, I was like, no, can't do those 4.
Yeah.
Send them back with her.
There was our kid, like it never even freaked her out when she was little. The summer camp that I help out with during the summer in North Alabama, James, I actually called him and he walked me through this process on the phone. There was a snake that had like a fungal thing.
Yeah, it had
it just wandered up on camp, and I had to put it down, and I'd never done anything like that. So I got one of those. I had
long ago.
I had the assistant director's husband, like her son-in-law was with me, and he was like, I can't do this, but I'm here to support you and you're going to do great. I almost threw up. I was crying. He almost threw up. Like it was, the 2 of us were not the 2 that needed to do that. It got done and it got disposed of the way it needed to, but
hold on. Stop. I gotta, say something to my dad real quick in the chat. He just said he raised.
I was wondering whose dad that was.
He said he raised a pussy. I'm sorry. I've seen how big of a vagina you've become since I moved out of the house and had a kid, which now you have a grandkid, and your fucking dog. Don't give me shit, old man.
It wasn't even supposed to be his
That's
dog.
a tough talk from 1,000 miles away,
Mom's
James.
dog.
Big ass vagina now, riding a motorcycle.
Get
He's
on
still a
his
vagina.
bike and come on down to Texas.
Anyway,
Yeah,
sorry.
funny.
Year and a
I don't
half.
have the chat pulled up, so I missed it all.
So yeah, I buy all of my feeders frozen, so I can just thaw them out and feed them to things.
So, Jess, it turns out that we both know someone that I did not realize that you knew, and you probably didn't realize I knew.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
because she
cool.
just messaged me. Francis
in the
Pierce.
chat.
I love her so much. She's like one of my top 5 favorite people on the planet.
Yeah,
She's
I apparently
also
entertained her
who-
this weekend.
yeah, we entertained the shit out of her this weekend.
She
This
is
week.
one of like 3 people in my life that like if I really need to vent and be like completely unfiltered, I can message her. And also she's one of like 3 people that I send any of my unfinished like songs or poems to. Because like nobody reads my unfinished shit, but I'll message her like, I wrote this and I love it, but it's not
she's
finished.
in here.
Please read
Nice.
it.
She's in the chat. Oh, there she is. Yep.
Yeah, she's in the chat. Well, so this weekend, so we're in a group. What's the name of the group, Robert?
Texas
Actual-
Black Panthers, blah blah blah, but not the militant kind. It's
Anyways.
Texas Black Panthers and Cougars. Colon.
Oh yeah,
Evidence,
God, I
and
love that
more.
group so much. I don't
Yeah, it's
comment a
full
lot in
of
that group, but I read a
half
lot.
of it are people that believe Black Panthers are a thing. Those people are stupid, and the other half are the people that realize they're not a thing. But this weekend, I took a picture of the house we were staying at for Texas Carpet Fest. There's this big ass black house cat off in the grass, and I got a picture of it from the porch, like through a fence, and then I posted it on the group saying, "I believe. Look at this giant Black Panther."
Oh God, I saw that.
Well,
It
and
was
I
great.
and I
That was
messaged
us.
Francis and was like, "Go in there and approve that post right now." It was Saturday morning, and there was something she wanted us to change. Oh, because he put
There's
the word
something we needed to edit.
No, it's because I said I'd seen it.
and she's like, "No, people are going to know
I
we're
seen
just
it.
trolling.
That's right.
Let's make it real and see how many stupid people we can get."
So many.
Man.
I'm telling you what though, that cat was freaking huge in the field compared to how tiny it looked when it was up by the house. Like normally it should be the opposite and it should be bigger up close.
Because it
but
was a Black Panther, Katie. What are you talking
it
about?
was so funny.
They're
People
real.
just
I
get so
saw it.
convinced. People get so convinced of their weird little myths and they won't let them go. I had someone tell me the other day that they saw a 10-foot snake that was this big around in their pond.
People always believe that shit. The problem is, one, no one can tell the size of anything.
Yes.
Anything. They're horrible.
Yes.
No, yeah, no.
And if they saw something as a kid, their mind sticks with them forever. If someone tells someone, look, I'm not saying that people are out there lying. They saw stuff. They know what they think they
No.
saw,
They're not making it up. They're just wrong.
but they didn't see it. That's
Yeah.
so. I fall. The Black Panther thing falls in the same group as Bigfoot for me. We live in the United States. There's a shit ton of guns and people out in the woods hunting, and everyone has
100% shot on.
everyone has a camera, and no one has killed any of those things.
There's never been a roadkill. There's never been a game camera photo.
Yeah.
Nothing. But Francis, the thing that blew her mind, it was kind of like a social experiment. Is whenever I told people, I said, I'm so sorry for everyone I've ever made fun of about seeing a Black Panther. But then anything I would tell them, they would agree with. When I was like, normally if I tell them after I tell them you didn't see a Black Panther, then they're like, well, I found a deer up in a tree. And I'm like, neither mountain lions or jaguars take their prey into trees. And they're like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, when I told them as a believer, they were like, oh, that's good to know. Maybe it was a flood or something.
But he's on our side. He must be right.
He must be right. He's a believer now.
Confirmation bias.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's just weird how people just won't let go of things. It's just like my favorite thing that people tell me is I know, like, especially in like snake identification, like I know this because I grew up in the country, and you don't know, like, look, man, that's not a credential. I know it feels like a credential, but it's not a credential. I grew
I've
up in the
missed
country
so many
too,
fucking
and
stupid
there's a
people
lot
from
of
the
shit I
country
don't
and
know.
from cities.
And like, who was there to fact check you in the country? Just wondering.
Their
Right.
grandpa. Their
Like
grandpa,
grandpa
who
who
told
said that the grandpa didn't. I thought he fell into a nest of water moccasins and died.
Everybody knows a kid that did in high school.
Oh my God! Like we
Yeah,
all
in
watched
the
Lonesome
80s.
Dove. Shut up.
Yeah.
And they just won't let go of it. I have been chased. Okay, of course you have. No, you just. Ugh.
I'm sure you thought you were
This
being
is a great
chased.
segue. It's a great segue
Hey,
into her
but it's not going to be a
question.
great segue for you because your audio is shit right now, Katie. So
I
segue
can't
your
go.
way
I
from,
don't know what to do.
I don't know, but you're in a bucket right now. About
Well,
40
I'm
yards
driving.
away from the microphone.
I'm not. It's in my ear.
The microphone's in your ear? That seems weird.
Well,
All right, Katie, you're out of the conversation.
What? I wonder
Anyways.
if it's the AirPod. It's because Joe
Hey, there
has
you
an
are.
AirPod in the back seat, so
Oh,
she
wait,
can
nope.
still hear.
Now I can hear Joe. What the fuck? Why can't I hear? God damn it, technology.
Give me the thing. No, I want to hear. Give it to me.
Because she has the microphone
on.
head AirPod.
I didn't know. I thought they both had a microphone.
Jesus
better?
Christ.
Yes, that's way better.
Yeah,
I thought
because you were
I thought
30
they
yards
both had
away from
microphones.
the.
What? Well, the reason
Christy
it was
just said
popping up
vote you
earlier
off.
is because the one with the microphone, the one with the microphone's been in the case the whole time. I didn't know it had to be the one for the right ear. I had the
We're
one
only,
for the left.
we're
ear.
only 238 episodes in
Jesus
this. We still
Christ.
haven't got this shit figured out.
I am never
What?
again
Hey,
attempting
hey.
to join the podcast on nights where I have
Optimus
to be a
Prime.
mom.
What the
Get
fuck?
this.
What was your segue, Katie?
Oh yeah.
Go
Marco.
to the questions on Facebook.
Oh,
We're
there
not
you
even-
go.
We're
Jesus
not even
Christ,
there
give me
yet.
the thing, Joe. You gave it back.
Oh my God, I'm
but
gonna mute
it's-
y'all.
We were
Where's the?
talking about the husbandry stuff.
I'm muting y'all. All right, there we go. That's you guys come back when you got your shit together. All right, let's go to our question.
I think I have my shit together.
Okay. Question was, what's a
But there's a
husbandry standard?
delay.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh,
All right, she's
You're
gone.
out?
She's gone. No, she left. Fuck. Let's try this again.
ooh.
Take 70. Question is, what's a husbandry standard that you think should be changed and why? And if you're in the chat and you didn't get a chance to answer this, answer it in the chat and we'll pull it up. But what's a husbandry standard you think should be changed and why? I'm interested to see what Chris Dieter thinks. Let's go. I'll go ahead and read my dad's first. I need everybody to understand this is not a serious answer. I think wives
I
should
read
work
that
much
one.
harder to. I think wives should work much harder to be nicer and more respectful to the husbands.
Hey, plug your
All
ears.
of this husband shaming is getting old. Yeah, it's a husbandry issue, as my dad said.
Should have turned my husband's laptop off before we read that one.
Kyle Craft said a lot of products like heated rock should not be sold, and we have to stop gatekeeping parts of the discipline. Yeah, I still can't. I mean, I guess I can't believe they're still being sold, but what the fuck? You can still find heat rocks in PetSmart.
I had someone
but-
argue with me the other day that companies that sell products for animals probably know way more than I do, and that's why they sell them. And I was like, probably not. They're not treating the burns I'm treating, but okay.
That's why
Just
steak
say,
gets.
yeah, and the Sackler family knew so much about pharmaceuticals than what was healthy for us that they didn't,
Right?
cause the opioid epidemic. So of
Why
course
would
that
people? Why would
correlates.
people who are financially motivated to lie to you lie to you?
Well, what you do
Yeah.
is you introduce them to Ryan McVeigh, our friend Ryan McVeigh, and he can tell you exactly what motivates those companies. Anyway, go ahead.
Sure, he used to work for. But like that's why when you look at the snake kits, they come with a blue bulb and a red
Oh my
bulb.
God.
You're like, you don't need fucking either one of those.
And don't you give me like a chameleon kits?
Oh my God.
I want to burn them down with
The
fire.
death kits. It's an animal death kit. It's almost like they make them so that you have to buy another one.
Every time I see an Exoterra the size of the one behind me with a chameleon on the picture, I'm like, someone's gonna
Please
fucking
stop.
put a chameleon in that thing and kill it.
No, they do. I know because they bring them to me when they're on death's door, and all I could do is keep them till they die. Like they just bring them to me. I got one chameleon in that was really, really old, and we took it to the vet, and we had to take it back to the vet, not because it needed to go back, but because the vet had never seen one come in that old, because they all die so young, and like he wanted to show the other vet. He was like,
That's
"Please
crazy.
bring him back." But yeah, I just get them in, and they're already just on death's door, and then I just get to watch them die, and it's depressing.
So the other part of Kyle's thing was that we need to stop gatekeeping parts of the discipline. And he said in the chat, we need to be more visible with our mistakes and learn learn the most from them. I've never been one to be like to hide shit that I've done wrong. But there's a ton of people out there that will make you believe that they've never had mites. They've never had an animal die randomly. They've
Man.
never forgotten to put water in a water bowl.
And mite treatment has come so far. Like, I want to scream about it every time I have to treat for mites because I'm like, it worked immediately. It was amazing. Yeah. So I started in wildlife rescue with Gulf Coast Wildlife Rescue, and it is run by a wonderful lady named Dana Simone. And she just like knows everything there is to know about wildlife, especially birds of prey, but she's also very direct. And so you would call her and tell her something, and she'd be like, oh, you killed it. And I was like, I what? And she was like, yeah, we've all done it. Here's what you need to do. And so you just got really used to knowing that sometimes you were going to make mistakes. And so it just became, and anytime you get around like a bunch of wildlife rehabilitators, there comes a point in the night when we all start telling the horrible death stories about like ways that we have messed up. And it's not really to like commiserate over it, really. It's just like, it's a thing that happens.
I'm going to stop you for 1 second and just ask, where's the microphone part of your headphones at? Because I think
Right
it's
here.
hitting your, it's hitting your shirt nonstop.
Oh, I see. What if I hold it?
Oh,
Is that better?
oh.
Is that better?
That is better.
Okay, I'll just hold on to it.
I know I'm a jerk when it comes to sound. I kicked my own wife.
No, you're good. I would like to sound good on your podcast. I'm good.
Well, Dieter said you learn more from your mistakes, and it's how you get good. Yeah.
Yeah, and because you kill an animal in a horrible way, and you will never do that again.
Oh yeah, I killed an entire litter of rainbow boas over a decade ago. And
I know one person who hasn't learned that lesson.
Yeah, I was tube feeding a baby possum, and I hit a lung instead of the stomach.
Oh.
I would never do that again. It was horrible to watch because there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You just lay there and you watch his little fists curl and you just cry because I'm a crier. Everything makes me cry. Like my husband will like walk into the house and I'll be bawling my eyes out and like he's like, "What's wrong?" And it's just like a sad commercial about a dog. And so I'm a cry. And all you could do is cry. And I have not done that. I did that one time in like 2015, and I have not done it since.
My old zoo director had some great stories about this. Sounds bad, but about things dying.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites was, and this was probably like it had to be back in the early '80s, probably when it happened. But he had gotten I'm assuming, got some sort of macaw on loan from another zoo. He got it on loan from another zoo and all this. And anyways, later on, he goes to it's a city-owned zoo, so he goes to his boss and says, "Hey, I need however much money it was. It was quite about a lot of money. I need this much money to buy this bird. We have to buy this bird. We need this bird for the zoo. I need this much money." And he talks to him and he goes, "Fine, here you go. Here's the money." He goes, "Bad news. The bird's dead." And then the boss goes, "What do you mean?" "I have to pay back the people that we borrowed the bird from and it died. So that's why you got the money from them."
Oh no.
they bought a dead bird.
Look, there's a comment down here about livestock becomes dead stock. And let me tell you, I also rescue like sheep and goats and bottle fed babies. If they don't get colostrum, they die a lot. Or they just like fail to thrive. And I'm always at my vet, like bawling my eyes out, like I'm not cut out for livestock life. I have so many like goat ashes. Like I get their little ashes sent back to me.
So when I worked at the zoo, we'd always get squirrels and possums. People would bring them to the zoo and we're supposed to save their lives. And I'd been there like over a year. And I was like, why don't I ever get to take any of these things home? Because I was the reptile keeper. And they're like, we just figured you didn't want to take care of a possum or a squirrel. I was like, I'd love to try and take care of a possum or a squirrel. So gave me this little baby possum. Fucking loved it. This thing went ape shit over bananas. And I was having to wake up and get formula and wonderful. And then it just died on me. And they're like, "Oh yeah, that happens sometimes." I was like,
yeah, sometimes
I was like, could y'all fucking told me that before I got attached to this baby possum that I thought I was going to raise up? They're like, "Oh yeah, no, they die a lot." I was like,
I have a really great wildlife story that shows you that sometimes they just die. I wake up one morning and it's like baby bird season, right? And I wake up and like I have 2 mockingbirds and one of them was perfectly healthy and beautiful and it is dead. And I go in there, I go in like the next one and the one with half a face, like he got caught in a lawn chair, literally had half a face, alive and kicking. And he lived to be released. His name was Harvey, obviously.
Nice. I like that, Harvey Dent.
Yeah,
that's another one with like the baby bird thing. People always want to pick up birds. I'm like, just fucking leave it. I was like, there's a lot of reasons why it's not in a nest. One, maybe it's supposed to die. They're not all supposed to make it.
And then they want to bring them to me, and I'm like, look, if you want to put it back in the nest, put it back in the nest. Like if it gets kicked back out again, fine. But like you don't have to bring it to me because it's on the ground. It either is on the ground because it lives there, and especially like if it has feathers and can stand on its own 2 feet, don't bring it to me. Leave it alone.
Well, and everyone's heard, well, if you touch them, the mother won't go back to it. I'm like,
Please stop telling your children
that's
that.
not true. Stop.
Please stop telling your children that. I don't know of any animals. Some people have told me hamsters will do that. I don't know anything about hamsters other than they're kind of horrifying.
They bite.
Rodent bites, man. I hate rodents in general. I'm missing feeling in several fingers from rodent bites. But yeah, people will bring me baby birds, and I'm like, this could have stayed exactly where it was.
Yeah. I'm sure mom is sitting in a tree waiting for you to move your ass out of the way so it can come down to the baby bird.
So we can feed it, yeah.
And you just stole it.
They'll bring me baby doves, and they'll be like, no, he was definitely abandoned. And I'll feel their little crop, and it's like full of seeds. And I'm like, this guy was like just fed.
Yep. Well, it's like this time of year, or not this time of year, but in like fledgling time for the like North Texas, the Mississippi kites. So many of them fall out of their nest.
So many.
But they will sit on the ground and be fine as long as a predator doesn't find them. The parents will feed them on the ground until they can fly.
I got taloned in the face by one of those once. It hurt a lot.
Ow.
Yeah, her baby had a broken wing, so I had to take it, and she was not happy. Got it right here.
How many bearded dragons do you end up with?
Like 1 million. I don't know. Oh, we have actually an amazing secretary / treasurer. Her name is Shannon, and like I could not do this without her. She's also the only person on the planet allowed to who can like tell me no without me throwing a fit. And she has all of those statistics, but I don't have them on me. But it's a lot. If they sell it at PetSmart, I get 1 million of them.
I just feel like at least half of them, like their feet don't work. I'm sure.
Or they don't have them at all. Or we get missing toes. We get a lot of cohabbed ones. We get a lot of cohabbed ones, and one of them is like full and beautiful, and the other one's this big. Yeah. And they're like, but they're best friends. Are they, though? I think best friends let each other eat.
That's like the, I don't know if did I mention the newts on here last time, Robert? Do you remember?
I don't know.
So we had a tank full of baby newts.
Oh my God.
My daughter's in charge of, and we've had we've killed a lot of newts in the last year in this learning process of how to raise baby newts. But we had like 30 of them. And my daughter's job was to feed them, take care of them. Well, she didn't feed them for a few days. I remember looking at them one day and thinking, man, that's one little baby. The other 30's a little bit bigger. Cool, whatever. I looked 3 days later. He's the only fucking newt left in there.
Oh, no.
He ate 30 siblings, and now he's fucking huge. He grew like 6 times the size, and he ate
like a video game animal. How is that real?
He ate like $300 worth of newts, and now lives by himself in a tank, and he's big. So now we have like 200 new baby newts down there.
Like the Mario music when he grows. Boop, boop, boop.
It had to, I'm telling you, it was in 3 days. He went from just slightly bigger than the rest of them to 5 or 6 times bigger. And so now we have like 200 baby newts in a tank down there. And I'm like, no, we're gonna keep pumping food into this shit. So they're all eating and they're full, and no one wants to eat each other.
Well, we were talking to Paul, our friend Paul Mobile, this weekend, and his nephew decided to start breeding axolotls sometime recently, and he bought a bunch of like a lot, like a breeding thing, and they all came sorted by size. Well, he sorted them by color. So then the next day all he had was one of each color.
Oh no. See, I've never ever even been asked to take one of those.
Because they die.
They die. They're dead. By the time someone realizes
axolotls don't even show that they're sick. They just die.
Well, and a lot of animals are that, especially like prey animals. A lot of animals are that way. You'll have what you think is a perfectly healthy rabbit one day, and then the next day she's dead.
Oh yeah, I showed rabbits growing up, and you'd go out there one morning and the wind blew the wrong direction. And
you can like walk by them too fast and cause a breeze, and they die.
Yes, turkeys.
And Kyle mentioned the thing, he says one of the rescued things are always baby bunnies because people will come upon our nest. And you're like, just leave the nest alone. Mom will come back and move them if she needs to.
Well,
same thing with fawns.
Oh my God. Don't get me started on fawns. People will bring them to me all the time. And then they're like, but you can't take them back. Now they smell like people and the mother will abandon them. Okay, and I like to go what shampoo do you use? What deodorant do you use? What air freshener do you have in your car? Did you have garlic for lunch today? There's not a human smell. We don't all smell the same. These animals have limited, especially deer. Deer are made out of panic and pointy bits, and that's it. There's no logic in there at all. So they are not logging away human smell so they can reject their babies later. It's just not how that works. They will take it back. We return them all the time.
Yeah. But Francis, I've seen people try to save bunnies. You're right. They like you said before, guys, that they just die. They fucking.
I do not rehab baby bunnies because I can't make them live.
You wonder how the whole like fuck like bunnies and how they reproduce like crazy. You're like, how the hell they get to that point if they just die all the fucking time?
That's why they have to. They have to make hundreds of babies because like 14 of them are going to live.
It's insane.
That's kind of possums are the same way. They have a whole bunch of babies because they have like a 2-year lifespan in the wild.
They're also, I want to say if I remember correctly, they're the ones they breed through meiosis. Like their eggs separate through meiosis. So like they're basically like little clones.
Armadillos are that way.
Armadillos, that's the one I'm thinking of. Armadillos.
Yes. It's like identical quadruplets.
Yeah.
The very first animal when we bought our rescue property, the very first animal we rehabbed there was an armadillo named Stan. And he was released out at Lake Texana.
They're another one that everybody's like, don't touch armadillos. They have leprosy. And like,
shut up about leprosy.
Everyone's like, every armadillo's got leprosy. Like, they can't be true, or they'd all just be dropping feet and tails everywhere.
Oh, there's my mother-in-law, Tina. She's like my biggest fan. I love her so much. She's amazing. Also, Tina, hi. I'm in your living room.
Ooh, what's it like to have a mother-in-law that likes you?
And she's amazing. She's so great. I like hit the in-laws jackpot. But
I like how you were like, my mother-in-law is my biggest fan. Not my mother is my biggest fan. My mother-in-law is my biggest fan. Screw you, Mom.
My mom and I had a complicated relationship. My stepmother, though, she's also amazing. I'm doing pretty well in like the parent department. Why am I so bright all of a sudden? What is going on?
You got an idea?
There we go.
So let me go back to a couple of these questions real quick. Or a couple of answers to the question. Tyson Dallas said, the stigma of using pine shavings. They are processed differently nowadays, and many people use pine shavings with no observable side effects. I have not switched myself, but it's mostly because I have a source for large bales of aspen as cheap as pine. Not everyone will have this option, so big bags of pine shavings for pretty cheap will be appealing to me. And I've heard that. I've heard that kiln dried pine is fine, but I did grow up in an era where like you couldn't use pine or cedar. You had to use aspen, and I still just don't like the smell of any pine. Like I just use aspen. I don't know. I always tell people if they're going to use any wood shavings, use aspen because I just don't have to worry about it if it's aspen.
Yeah, it's not a thing you have to think of. I use pine sometimes, like outdoors, like big outdoor stuff. I don't really have any animals that need shavings that I can inside, I guess.
I don't want to use. I'll use pine if I was like hamsters or some sort of like rodent or whatever. It's probably fine. I don't know. I just whether it is true or not, it's been ingrained to me since I've kept snakes for 20 plus years now. Don't use pine in their cage. I'm like, okay.
And even if it's fine, like you won't be able to stop thinking about it anyway. So
yeah. Then when it does eventually die, I'll be like, oh shit, did I kill it or is it something else? Or so. Our buddy Danielle, who we saw this weekend, says this may be unpopular, but it drives me bananas when people say the enclosure should be the length of the snake or the snake should be able to stretch along two sides. There are definitely less active snakes that would be fine for, but that's way too small of a space for a lot of snake species.
I'm so glad she said that because that's what I had in mind when I asked the question. that was my answer. I just, like I said, like every time I give an animal more space, I just watch them use it, and all I want to do is give them even more. My big sulcata has an acre, and he uses every inch of it. Obviously, not everybody can give their sulcata tortoise an acre, but like every time I see an animal just flourish in a bigger enclosure, I just want to make it more. Go ahead.
Well, and I get Danny here, and I totally agree. And this is going to be talking about both sides here, but I totally agree with this. If you've got 1 to 6, 7 snakes or reptiles, or whatever, but I've got 150 snakes in the other room, and I can't give them all a 4-foot enclosure. Like my sand boas aren't going to use that. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you put a sand boa in a 4 by whatever, it will definitely at some point move throughout that entire cage. I get that. But it's also going to sit its happy ass in a corner for like 90% of the time because it's sand boa, just like someone's ball python will. But if you are someone keeping just pets, yeah, go as big as you can.
We have some of our animals like at the rescue don't get like huge enclosures because ideally they're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Ideally we're not going to keep all of these, right? I mean, we have some permanent residents, but like my husband's giving me looks. You stop.
He's like, when are they going somewhere else?
He's like, are they, Jessica? Are they? But so I don't put them in like a huge enclosure because hopefully they're not going to be here very long. But like after they've been here a while, I do try to upgrade them. And like we keep our retics in, it's like a 10x6x6. It was like a catio and we converted it.
That's pretty good though.
They love it.
I mean, most people are keeping them in 6 to 8 foot long by like 3 foot by like 3 foot or 2 foot.
Yeah, and we have this. He's like 17 years old. His name is Rex. He's like a lavender albino. He came from Florida. Florida Fish and Wildlife sends us animals, and they sent him to us on like Southwest Airlines. And so, but he loves that. He loves that much space.
Yeah.
It's beautiful to watch, and he'll go curl up over here, and then he'll curl up over here, and then I'll come out and he's just spread out, and he has like 100-gallon like pool that he loves, and he has like he also has a little bowl that he likes to curl up in like a cupcake. It's really cute.
That's one of the enclosures at the Houston Zoo that I do like, and it's funny because before it was a retic enclosure, which I think it makes a great retic enclosure. It was, and Christy was wondering what. It used to be the big leucistic alligator, which is now at Croc Encounter, and that is a horrible alligator exhibit.
Oh no!
So it's a wonderful reaching exhibit, but there's like no water hole other than this small little pool in the middle. So it's just one of those like it looks great now, but when I think like I've seen this alligator, and I think that alligator was stuck in there, like that's horrible. And Robert grew up seeing that alligator in there.
Yeah.
And I love large reptiles. I guess I missed him when I was because I went to the zoo recently. I have like an annual membership, so I guess I could go back.
It's been a while. Now it's retics. Like when you walk into the reptile.
I've seen the retics. They're gorgeous.
That used to be an alligator enclosure.
Yeah, Chris could probably tell us how long he's had Blanco out there now.
I guess I haven't seen the alligator thing though.
Well,
he's had it created.
We still have it. The alligator thing?
That enclosure where the retics are is where the alligator used to be.
Oh, but they don't have the alligator somewhere else now?
No, it's at Crocodile Encounter. Christy Crocodile Encounter, which is south of us.
Yeah, I was thinking Crocodile Encounter was a thing at the zoo. I'm with you now. No. Gotcha.
He's had it for about 10 years.
He's had him for almost 10 years.
Man. Yeah, I just took my daughter. My son was in the hospital in March, and we could see the giraffes from his hospital room. And so cool. I told that's like, we were there like day in and day out. So when we got out, I went to the zoo to go see the freaking giraffes.
Just leave your kid in there and be like, look, I'll wave to you while I'm looking at the giraffes. It's fine.
Well, we did shifts. We did shifts. So like my parents would spend the night and I would come back and forth. And I would bring like supplies or whatever else they needed. It was a good kind of teamwork thing, but it sure was nice to go to the zoo when all that was over.
Let's see. I got one more here. Oh, Katie left one. She said, hers was judging other people because their husbandry is different than yours, but not necessarily bad. So she says if their husbandry is bad, judge all you want. But yeah,
I think this is tough because we don't always. Some people think things are bad. Like we all think different things are bad. We all have like different ideas of what is acceptable.
Well, like so, Darren made a joke in the chat because I've joked about it. So we've got a panther chameleon over here, and all of this pretty green stuff in its cage. There it is plastic. It's plastic plants. And the chameleon Facebook groups lose their shit on that. And they will tell you how deadly it is and how it's going to kill them and how this dude's been alive for over a year and there with no ill effects. He's doing great. Yeah.
Do they? I don't know anything about panther chameleons. I've never gotten one in. Never been asked to take one.
They probably died.
Yeah, they probably died. There was a beautiful one at my vet's office. I don't go to that vet anymore. Well, I go to the same veterinarian, but he's a different clinic now, so I don't see the chameleon anymore.
But yeah, that's one of the situations though where that is an okay way to keep them, and some other people don't believe it is, and they will try and lynch you for it, even though it is not something that will cause harm. Like they have it in their mind that microplastics and the off-gassing. I'm like, how much plastic?
With like the beardies, don't you dare put a bearded dragon on loose substrate people. I'm like, my beardie loves to dig.
They live on sand.
She loves it. Well, it causes impaction. Well, no, crappy husbandry causes impaction.
Well, that's a lot of people have said that impaction usually comes from dehydration. If you have a well-hydrated animal, That
he's
never
going to
seems
pass
to be the
any
issue.
sand that he eats. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like if he's a healthy animal, he will be able to pass the sand. But I also don't like attack like new people who aren't using sand. Like I'm also not going to attack them for that because none of us are perfect right out of the gate.
Well, that's the problem with Facebook groups is they allow someone who has kept something for a week to go and be, I'm an expert now with your bearded dragon on cage carpet and red bulb.
I say this as somebody who runs a rescue. A lot of people who run rescue, there's not like a nonprofit is like a tax designation. It doesn't give me any kind of like expertise about the animals. They didn't like give me a quiz, So like I like to think I know what I'm doing, although I do have a lot of way more experts than me around me, which is amazing. But a lot of people will be like, I heard this from a rescue. Obviously, they're a rescue. They know what they're doing. And that is not necessarily the case.
Yeah. Just real quick, Nakia, the lifespan of panther chameleons can be like 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
But there are some that are much shorter that are like 4 or 5. There are like, I think veileds have a shorter lifespan. Some other ones do. But it drives me nuts when someone asks for advice, but if you don't give them the advice they want, they assume that you don't know what you're talking about.
Why am I so tired of arguing with people who say they're there to learn but refuse to learn?
I'm a teacher to high school students, so that's every day for me.
Oh, gosh.
That is my life.
There's just so, like, they will argue back and forth and then just be like, well, I'm trying to learn. Are you? Because it doesn't seem like.
Yeah. It gets really annoying. Look, they're not going to listen to this, so I'll say it. Some people in my wife's family have decided at points in time had questions about keeping reptiles or wanted reptiles. I'm like, I don't know. You could ask the guy who's kept them for 20 years and was a reptile keeper at a zoo. But my advice doesn't mean shit because they'll be like, nah, whatever. And they'll go ask somebody. I'm like, the fuck? Like, I'm the perfect person for you to ask on how to take care of that bearded dragon you want.
And I always appreciate people who've been like keeping a long time and have updated their standards in that time.
Yeah.
Because, I also run across people who are like, well, I've been doing this 30 years, but like they've been doing it the exact same way for 30 years.
Well, that's one of those, like, yes, it worked 30 years ago, but we have found a better way for it to work now.
We should all be getting better, right? All of us. I'm trying to be better every single day.
When I was a kid, we had a green iguana in a big enclosure in our thing, and we had 2 heat rocks in there because that's what we were told was supposed to be in there, and we didn't know any better.
We had a boa with a heat rock when I was a kid.
We had a ball python with like pine shavings and a heat rock. Like when I was
we had the great starter kit. It was the 20-gallon long.
Yeah.
For our boa with screen lid, green cage carpet, the old ceramic dish that's blue on the inside, brown on the outside, and a heat rock.
I think I still have some of those at my house.
I have one sitting right over there.
I'm not gonna lie, those ceramic dishes are fucking amazing. Those things.
They're heavy. They're hard to knock over.
They never got tipped.
I'm always looking for like dishes the animals can't knock over.
That may be the one old school reptile thing that should stay around. The ceramic dish from
if it's like heavy and ceramic or has like a base. Oh yeah, I like vintage Corningware. It makes really great waters. I collect like the old expensive Corningware and like the ones with like the little blue cornflower. I use those all the time.
I could see what Chris said. He found heat rocks buried in the sand tend to be fairly useful. I could see that because they're not coming into direct contact with the heat source and laying on it and burning themselves.
It's when you get a mentally special ball python that wraps its ass around one and then just melts its flesh to it.
Yeah.
That's the
I
problem.
have read, and I don't know if this is true, I read somewhere that they make them differently now. I'm still not going to use them though because I think that stupid
they'll
animals.
say they have like thermostats inside of them and they only get to a certain temperature, but I mean,
I don't know if I believe that.
Even if they do, I can guarantee it's not the highest quality. But for a lot of that stuff, like what Chris talking about, what you could use in that situation too is those. It's probably safer is those heat mats for like growing weed. Those are good for if you put them underneath the sand, gives you a wide area, and it will heat the whole ground up. And they work pretty well too.
Okay. I had a thought and it just escaped as soon as you said that.
Tips on how to use weed products. Anyways, so around about how many animals do you think you have right now in your rescue?
Right now, probably around 100-ish. It's about right. About 100-ish at the rescue at any time. It's a little more in like the springtime, but also that counts like flock animals like turkeys, guineas.
Well, see, that's the problem. Is like
chickens.
100-ish snakes is different than 100-ish pigs,
Right.
goats, and chickens.
Right. And so we have like 3 sheep and a couple of goats and, well, just one goat. Barnaby just passed away. But we also have like really particularly dumb animals. So they're a little more to care for.
Christy just said amateur numbers. So he said he would gladly take any of your animals that need rescuing. You can take them to Crocodile Encounter.
Yeah, and I do. I've been keeping a lot fewer lately because again, every time I see like a rescue that has become overwhelmed and like all the animals are suffering, I like stop intake for a little bit, and I'm like, I'm just gonna make sure everybody's healthy. Like I'm just gonna do like a quick once over. But yeah, I keep a lot fewer animals than I used to, but also because I've learned to tell people no. I've learned to say I'm not taking bearded dragons right now.
That's good. When Darren asked, have any of your animals given birth after being taken in?
Have I had any given birth? Not since
Not you, but the animals, not you.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't given birth in like 15 years. Not since I was in dog rescue. I have not had any animals come in and like give birth on me, thank God.
That's good.
But you know the day is young.
Just imagine getting a pig and then all of a sudden have a bunch of
Oh my
piglets.
God, we actually did have a pig that escaped and was running around our property. Who was very obviously very heavily pregnant. It was not our pig. It was a pig that had escaped and was coming down. And I was like, we have got to catch
Sure,
this
it wasn't yours. So what you're saying is you got a pregnant pig and he said, hey, let that bitch loose and we'll say it's not our pig.
She belonged to the people down the street. And I was like, we have to catch her ASAP.
You sound like Chris Dieter when
having babies.
You sound like Chris Dieter when people call up and say, hey, there's alligators in the bayou behind your place. Are they yours? And he says, no, they belong here. They're natural.
But yeah, I keep a lot fewer animals than I used to, mostly because I helicopter parent these animals. I am a nervous wreck of a person. My husband put a swimming pool out at the rescue because when it was 112 degrees, I would go out there and he was afraid I was going to die while trying to helicopter parent the animals. So he put a pool out there so I could stay cool while making sure they stayed cool. And it just got to be a lot with, 250 animals. And they just don't get adopted fast. So, especially with like reticulated pythons. There are way more of those than there are appropriate homes for them.
We say it all the time. We should see way more adult reticulated pythons out there than we do, which tells me right there that a lot of them are dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that do make it to adulthood, how many people are equipped to take care of a 15-foot snake?
Not very many.
It's not a lot.
Because like Rex is 13 foot or so. He's got like a 10 by 6 by 6. And if I could give him bigger, I would. And I won't adopt anything out to a smaller enclosure than it's in.
Yeah.
And I know there's, even if you can't give them that much, like there's not many people giving them half of that.
No. Yeah, it's a big problem with them.
Yeah.
Speaking of ignorance, one of my friends just had a dog bitten in the face by a copperhead, and there's probably 30 comments saying, just give him a Benadryl. It'll be fine.
Yep. Oh my God, Shaw, stop with the Benadryl.
Arguing with me.
But you know what?
Well, that's what my vet said. Well, your vet's stupid.
The vets will tell them that. I know because I've been told that by veterinarians.
Yep. And then they're like, well, my dog survived from it. No, your dog survived in spite of the Benadryl, not because of the Benadryl.
Yes.
Francis, you don't have to pee on everything.
Yeah. It's
either jellyfish or copperhead bites. I don't know which one it is, but just pee on it to be safe. So one thing I want to ask your opinion on. So the word rescue.
Mm-hmm.
You see so many people online saying they run a rescue. And I always find it funny when their rescue has a shopping list of animals. I'm like, there's not a single person I know that runs a rescue that's ever said, hey, please give me more animals.
I find it to be a huge red flag when like people post in Facebook groups looking for animals to rescue. Like I don't have a shortage of phone calls in the morning. I don't have like a need to go out. In fact, I just yesterday got in a Mexican black king snake. He will be adoptable when I'm dead. I've wanted one of those for years and years and years, but I won't buy one and I won't go seek one out because it rains animals on my head all day, every day. And so I'll see these people like, I'm starting a rescue. If you have any animals that you need rescued, call me. And I'm always like, that's a red flag.
There is a rescue that's somewhat local to us who will put out a list of the morphs of ball pythons that they're looking for because they breed them to sell the babies to fund their rescue.
Okay, well, message me that later.
Yeah, I got to remember who they are because I'm blocked by them because I told them exactly how fucking stupid they were.
And I always feel bad because I see somebody who wants to rescue and I'm like, yes, come into the fold. Come, I will help you. I will help you network. And then like I find out they're shitty and I'm like, well, that sucks.
Well, because the problem is all those people really want to do is they're just flippers. They're like, oh, I want either they're a flipper and they're like, I want to make free money, or they're unhealthy. They have that unhealthy thought of, I just need more animals. I want every animal. Give me every animal.
I see it a lot with people who are like pretty new to reptiles. Like they got like a ball python and then they got like a bearded dragon and now they want more reptiles and they think like, I'll just start a rescue and people will give me reptiles. Yeah. And it just, that's not, I hate to police the word rescue. I do.
But it gets used incorrectly. So it just like
apparently is doing it. But
it's like saving an animal from a pet store. It's exactly used incorrectly.
Right back there. And like, no, I didn't run into a burning building for all my animals. But I have dove after a goat and hurt myself, the same goat twice, 3 weeks apart, not even my goat. You know, I have done some crazy, rescued a bald eagle from the middle of a pond one time. I've done some of those really cool, crazy rescues. You know, some of my animals are owner relinquishes, and yes, we're still called a rescue. But I wouldn't be like, hey, I rescued this guy from a person who gave it to me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I hate to police the word too much, but like some shit's just not rescue.
Not a rescue. You know, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't resell a rescued animal because there should be a price. So like Gina, right. Gina, I love Gina, and I think the way she does her rescue is amazing. I like her very much. Yes, and she they resell a lot of those reptiles, but they've got to recoup. I mean, she takes in so much.
She takes an insane number of animals. It's just I don't know. I don't know what like the answer is. And I don't want to discourage people from going into rescue by making them think that we're all going to be like, prove it. But I just, Jesus, maybe, hey, please give me all your animals is not the best way to start a rescue.
Well, I do like you said earlier that being labeled a nonprofit does not make you good.
It's a tax designation, and it's one we love. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and it's great for us, but that's not like what makes us a good rescue.
But it does show me that you at least went the extra step to become a nonprofit.
Yeah.
You're not just a person on Facebook searching for animals.
Yeah, it has its place. It definitely does. And I rescued without being a 501c3 for a long time, and it made my life a lot easier. It made fundraising a lot easier. You know, because like if you don't get to take in money in Texas or in the United States without reporting it to somebody, right? And so like, you know, like if you're not a nonprofit, you're supposed to report that income, and it's complicated. So being like a nonprofit has been great because somebody else keeps track of that money. That is Treasurer. Nice. She's amazing. I just like upload my receipts to Google Drive, and she does all my math for me. It's great.
So Timothy wanted to know how you felt about being a nonprofit, and then said, is it needed for someone wanting to be a reptile to be a nonprofit?
And so this is sometimes kind of an unpopular opinion among nonprofits, but I think you can be a good rescue without being a 501c3. I don't think that says anything about the animals and how you care for them.
Gina's not a 501.
I think I do that. I think I did know that. Yeah. I know some great, amazing rescuers who it's a lot. The thing is that incorporating as a 501c3, it has a lot of things that come with it, and you have to do them right. Not only am I not supposed to pay taxes, I'm not allowed to pay taxes, which means sometimes I have to stand there until the manager comes so I can get she can take all the tax off of my purchase. There's like rules about how you can fundraise. You have to be a 501c3 for 3 years before you can even do a raffle. Texas has weird rules about selling things to make money as a nonprofit. It's a lot of responsibility.
Texas has weird raffle rules. I remember hearing about those. I think Robert told me about that before.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility and it needs to be taken seriously. And not everybody is up for that. Plus, I see a lot of people start a 501c3 and they just get the first 3 people they can because you have to have 3 board members. And then the thing falls apart because your treasurer doesn't actually know how to be a treasurer. And so it's just a thing that you really need to think about and do right. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm definitely not saying don't do it because it does a lot of good things for my rescue, but it is not a thing to just go do because you think you're supposed to.
So Dieter said, and we're talking about, rescues, people just popping up rescues here or there. So the same thing kind of happens in Zoo World, just on a different scale.
Oh, God,
I always get very weary of roadside zoos or drive-through zoo attractions.
I have a great drive-through zoo story. Hold on. Go ahead.
I know how easy it is to buy hoof stock. All you got to have is the money.
Mm-hmm.
So you can get a lot of stuff that people normally go, it's crazy. They have zebras or they have wildebeest or they have a giraffe. And I'm like, yeah, those aren't hard to get if you have money. Because I've seen people open up those little roadside zoos and not know shit about animals. Just they kept horses and cows and like, I can keep the rest of the stuff and we'll just drive. Like I watched one where we used to live in Louisiana. One, they got giraffes in. One died fairly shortly after they got them.
Oh, God.
Also on the drive-through, they would let people hand feed fucking zebras. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong
Zebras
with you?
do not have a temperament for that.
They will chunk someone across a yard because everybody sees a zebra and they go, it's a horse. I'm like, it's not a fucking horse.
Yeah.
It is not a horse.
Not.
That's
Man,
like someone I worked with at the zoo when she started, she was a horse person.
Oh, no.
And they put her in the department that had like the deer in it and they came around rut time. And I was like, you really got to be careful with them. I was like, especially the mom, because she just had babies. I was like, be very careful. She's like, well, I've been kicked by a horse. I'm like, a horse isn't a deer.
It's
I was
not
like,
the same.
a horse kicks and then moves on.
No.
And she came to me one day because she had got between the mom and the baby in the barn and it went to boxing. And she came to me after, she was like, you're right. It's not the same as a horse.
Panic. Panic and pointy bits.
Yes.
So I have a really great roadside zoo story. My husband and I were coming home from vacation and we pulled into this one and it was the most horrifying thing I'd ever seen. Everything was so small. The tigers looked like shit. They had was it a zebra or a camel? It was like a camel. Everything. It was like the saddest place. They had a monitor lizard in what looks like, because I know, a holding cell. In the sulcatas, I mean, it looked like it was like one little lamp in a corner with like a bowl. The sulcatas were in like a 10 by 20 maybe, and there was like 7 of them in there. And I get in the car and I say, this is the saddest place I have ever been. And people start sending me these links about these bizarre stories about the owner, Joe Exotic. This was like 2 or 3 years before Tiger King. It was like 2017, 2018, before Tiger King. And people start sending me these links and articles about this fucking dude. I read them to him hours. I read those articles to him and just we blew our minds. And so like 2 years later, I turn on the TV and I sent him a picture of the TV. And I was like, oh my God, they made a series. And so
have you watched Him Crazy yet?
Oh, I have not.
You need to watch Him Crazy.
I have not. I watched Tiger King. So the day I watched Tiger King, I accidentally took my my evening medication instead of my morning medication. So I got to watch Tiger King on Seroquel.
Oh, geez.
And I kept being like, is this insane or am I just on Seroquel? And you'd be like, no, it's nuts. No, it's really nuts. I have not watched Him Crazy yet, but I will.
Nakia mentioned in the chat that someone in Alvin has a zebra and a camel. They're not in Alvin. They're just outside of Alvin. They have a zebra, a camel, and an emu.
Oh my God, I love emus.
But their yard is pretty big. I drive by them often, and they look like they're in good shape. Actually, that zebra, emu, and
oh my gosh! Look, if somebody asked me, "Hey, could you take this zebra?" I would have a really hard time saying no, even though it's probably going to whip my ass.
It's going to kill you.
I would probably still say no though because I don't know where I would put it.
Well, camels aren't anything to mess with either.
Oh, camels pop your head off.
They're so freaking cool. I know. Why does everything I love want to kill me?
Like Chris told us, the only animal out there on his entire place that scares him is the red kangaroos.
And everybody thinks kangaroos are fucking cute and cuddly.
Oh, I have heard that kangaroos will fuck you up.
He also said he was referencing AZA animal movement, and I'm sure that gets interesting too, especially when some AZA zoos are like, we really got to get this animal out of here because we need space. I bet it can be interesting where they end up.
Look, Frances said she warned me about geese, and she really did. And my geese were very sweet at that point, and now one of them is very mean, and she's like, I told you.
The only goose species I've ever had any luck with were Egyptian geese. They were great. They kind of sound like velociraptors from Jurassic Park. But every other goose has been horrible.
The most horrifying sound on my whole property is the peacock.
Oh, I hate peacocks.
Fucking hate peacocks.
God, Derek came to me. Derek is my peacock's name. He came to me because he seriously injured somebody and made her need stitches. And I say made her need stitches because she's a wildlife rehabilitator. So she did not go get stitches. Instead, she braided her hair to hold the wound together. Her name's Susan Dancer. She's like the coolest person on the planet. But that's why I have Derek, because he seriously injured someone. I have a lot of animals that want to kill me.
Nice.
Like if it hates me, there's like a running joke in my house that if it bites me, I will love it for the rest of its life.
Is that how you got your husband?
Sorta.
Couldn't pass it up. You were setting that up, and I'm sitting here going, Francis would have said it. So
I really did just kind of pop over one night and then not leave. I was like, hello, I've chosen you.
That's great.
That was like 14 years ago, and he's still putting up with all of this shit. Imagine, like, you got to do that shit slow, though. Like, imagine if I had just moved in, like, by the way, I have 100 animals with me.
Yeah.
Nope.
That was when Katie and I got together. I was like, all right, I have snakes. I will eventually have more. And then it was always like, when we finally got pregnant with our kid, people were like, so are y'all going to get rid of your animals? Like, no, I'm probably going to get more. I was like, so those... You have to ease people into it sometimes, especially when they're like, I have 100 snakes at home, and the images that go through their mind when you say you have 100 snakes is insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the way people think about snakes, like I've noticed everybody thinks that any given size of snake eats prey much larger than it does.
Humans, they will all kill you. Every snake.
The day we have a reticulated python named Gomez. He's beautiful, wants to eat my face every single day. The day I got him, I had posted a picture, and then I got sick and I fell asleep. And my castmates, I was in a play, I didn't show up to rehearsal. They sent the police to my house because they thought that the snake had eaten me. And he was like 9 feet long at the time. But yeah, and so people are always asking me, like, what do you feed him? And when I say like smallish rabbits, they're like, really?
Chris Dieter said he put a rat in a microwave on the second date with his wife.
Oh my God.
The problem is there's so many questions about, first off, why did you put it in the microwave? I mean, I get he's going to say to warm it up, but we all know that that's a bad idea. And why?
Well, you remember last time we were out there and he was just walking around with the frozen rat, like, you know, and for us it was normal, but I noticed the other people kind of like, that's weird.
It's always funny when people say, like, tell me that post on Facebook that's like, don't tell me a fun fact, telling me a horrifying fact about yourself. Mine is always that I can skin a dead mouse in less than 10 seconds, and it always freaks people smooth out. But you have to do that for birds of prey, like the baby birds of prey. You have to skin them.
Chris said it was a bad idea. I need it softened a tad. Anyone listening, please don't put rats or mice in the microwave unless you plan on buying a new microwave.
Disclaimer.
Try nuking a hot dog in there first and seeing how that goes, and then imagine you're like a rat.
I tried to make microwavable egg rolls one time. Why the fuck did I do that? I don't know. I don't know why I thought that would smell good, because it didn't.
Chris said he was trying to impress her with his big crock. How'd that go, Chris? I don't.
Well,
I'm glad you said big. Was that a typo? Was it crock or never mind?
Francis said, "Oh," died laughing. So Francis has this child named Olivia. She has 2 children, but she has one named Olivia, who's like the coolest fucker on this planet.
So wait, are you saying the other child sucks?
No, the other child is amazing.
Francis,
the other child
Francis,
is like
she thinks your other kid is boring as hell and pretty basic. Tell that
But
kid
Olivia,
to fuck off. But Olivia's great.
Olivia just has like a thing. Like she just has this attitude. She's perfect. Francis said they do suck. Amazing.
Amy, I'm interested to see where the chat's going.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to read it. Tiger King, man, Tiger King at the beginning of it was like the perfect storm. Tiger King came out at the beginning of the pandemic, and nothing will ever have that big of an impact. Man, Tiger King was like a force. It was wild. I was Joe Exotic for Halloween that year.
And Timothy, yes, all of us reptile people that are aware of this documentary coming in were horrified about what it's going to be.
Oh my god!
Because Tiger King Tiger King was supposed to originally be this documentary, not Tiger King. And crazy ass tiger folks were more entertaining.
Yeah.
And so it became Tiger King.
They were.
And I'm just going back.
Eric Good talks about it. He was down at Tom Crutchfield's place, and people showed up, and they had that snow leopard in a van in the middle of the summertime, and he started talking about him. And they were like, "Let us tell you about this guy in Oklahoma."
Oh my
and he Googled him and was like, "We're going to Oklahoma."
And yeah, they put a hold on the reptile one, which now they're going to do and have Fuckstick from North Carolina in it.
God.
Well, and on Chimp Crazy, he said that they were a year and a half into filming Chimp Crazy before they found the woman who ended up being the Tiger King of that. And
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all it's going to do is make life for the rest of us hard, because those people are not going to stop doing what they're doing.
I have to tell Dax that I am cheering for the Yankees in the World Series, because while I hate the Yankees, I hate the Dodgers even more. So
I have to tell Dax,
Dax, it's the only fucking time you'll ever hear me say it.
I'm not cheering for either one because fuck baseball. The Braves are out, so I have no reason to watch it anyway. So
I used to be crazy about baseball. I was like a huge Astros fan. I watched like every single game. Do not like the person I am when I'm watching baseball, so I don't do it anymore.
I remember as a kid, I'd go spend like 2 or 3 weeks with my grandmother in the middle of the country, and her routine every day was one she cooked dinner for, like, she was cooking for 15 people, and it would only be me and her at the house every time. But then random people would stop by and get plates. But then I remember it was, while she was cleaning in the afternoon, it was Wheel of Fortune, the news, and then the Braves game. And she'd fall asleep on the couch to the Braves game. So I watched Braves games every summer. So I used to watch baseball all the time. And then now I don't. I only watch it if it's playoffs or if the Braves are in the playoffs.
Either someone of my neighbor upstairs just died and fell on the floor, or they dropped like a TV on the floor. I'm surprised y'all didn't hear it.
No.
Jesus Christ.
My dad has like a fiery hatred for the Braves, and I'm not even sure like what's behind it. Like, I don't know what it is, but like it's just like fiery. I don't know.
Well, if he was an Astros fan in the 2000s, it was because they beat us
probably.
every time.
But man, I was young, so it wasn't even the truth. It was like maybe like the late 90s.
The 90s when we were good. When we had the best pitching staff.
Good, but never won a World Series. So.
We won one. We won one
out of like 11. Yeah, we're the Buffalo Bills of baseball.
We had the best pitching staff ever in baseball.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, fiery hatred. It was wild.
That's why I also hate the Blue Jays for no fucking reason other than I remember them beating us in the 90s. And there's no reason to hate them because they suck still. And I've always hated the Yankees.
Man. Yeah, because when we watched the Astros, everybody remembers the Killer Bees. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was our like Astros. We would go to games, like we would buy like T-shirts and we would go to games, and it was like a family thing that we did. It was super, super fun.
So then that was the early 2000s.
And then was it? I don't know.
Francis, I miss Chipper Jones also, and Andrew Jones, and hell, I'll even go back to Sid Bream from like 91. I miss the Braves winning. That's basically what I miss. I miss the Braves winning. I mean, don't get me wrong. We won a World Series like 3 years ago, but still. And it was against the Astros.
Against the Astros, yes, sir.
In case you might want to be.
I was there. Had to listen to you for a year, and then
that's why every time I go to
this last year, I had to listen to our friend John Grant because he's a Rangers fan. So
that's why every time I go to an Astros game since I've moved here, I wear my Braves shirt.
Yes.
Also taught my kid when we drive by their field that this is the name of the field is the place where the Braves won a World Series. It's turned into baseball chat now, but
right, all the reptile people that tuned in are like, "Why are we talking about baseball?"
What is
every week?
What is this baseball you speak of?
I love me a good tangent. I do. I love that works for me.
So I'm a huge sports fan, but I'm a big Steelers fan, and my favorite thing from this week was that Devontae Adams got traded from the Raiders to the Jets. Well, the Steelers beat the Raiders. Devontae Adams got traded to the Jets, and the Steelers beat the Jets. So he got beat by the same team 2 weeks in a row.
Oh, see, I don't ever. The last time I watched football, it was because it was the Super Bowl, and it was because I like Taylor Swift.
Oh, gross.
I'm one of those. It was fun to watch, though. It was a good time to watch. But like, I have a T-shirt that says "Go Taylor's boyfriend."
I love the people that the girls had no idea about football, and they think that he's dating her to become famous. I'm like, he was famous already. Don't get me wrong, she's very famous, but like, Travis Kelce was doing fine.
He was doing fine, yeah. But I also like don't pretend I know about football. I like don't, and I'm like, hey, this was fun to watch. Like I watched it with my in-laws, and it was a good time. But like, I also don't like pretend I know what I'm doing.
Well, people in Houston get to enjoy football now because like they actually like win games.
Do they?
They finally have started winning games.
Ow, itchy. Okay. Sorry, I had an itch. It was intense and important.
That'd be more information than people want to hear.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I say things out loud instead of inside.
That's okay.
I don't know why my foot itches so bad, but it does.
Yes, Darren, I'm a Steelers fan because I grew up in Mississippi and Alabama, and we don't have pro football down here. We have SEC football. So I grew up a college football fan. And then high school, I was like, I really fell in love with Steelers, and now I'm a Steelers fan. I've never even been to Pittsburgh.
The owner of my company is a big time like UT super fan, University of Texas super fan, and our warehouse supervisor is an LSU fan.
Oh dear,
Go
like
Tigers.
Rabid LSU fan, but Georgia beat UT Saturday, and he sent our owner a text that said, "Welcome to the SEC, bitch."
wow.
I saw a video of the student section singing, of LSU student section singing. Well, they've got a fun song they sing. Let's just say it's slightly vulgar. And the comments are like, how rude. And I'm like, you've never been to an SEC football game. Like, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
They basically tell them to suck their dicks. It's a hilarious song.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I'm hungry.
I was trying to figure out what Nakia, except for this, I have no idea what she said. Oh, for the past football game. Yeah, that's true. Houston lost this last one.
Well, it sucks. We had this meeting in a restaurant, but we didn't order any food.
How do you have a meeting in a what?
Why?
We had bread and like roasted garlic oil stuff and some antipasto. But
I don't know, man. I never met bread I didn't love.
Oh no, it was good, but it's not food. It wasn't like a meal. And,
it's not. No, it's not a meal.
And we didn't go to lunch today because we had this meeting at 3 at this restaurant. So we're like, oh, we'll just skip lunch today and eat there. Well, we didn't.
Oh no.
So I'm starving.
Why would you do it at a restaurant?
They give us their wine room and close the doors and turn the radio off so we can like have privacy and it's a pretty good deal. My
I feel
owner,
like you could have privacy and pasta would be fine.
We could usually
privacy and pasta.
Well, they have a butternut squash soup that's got like this cream. It's ridiculously good, and I didn't even get that.
Love a weird soup. I love any kind of like soup. It's not, I'll eat chicken noodle, but like if it's something like a little bit out there, I have a little place in Edna that I eat. It's called Cicada Catering. It's like the best food I've ever had in my mouth, and they have soups every day.
Hold on. It's the best food you've ever had with your mouth?
In my mouth.
In your mouth.
Yes.
Where are other places you've had food that you enjoyed?
Not going to disclose that.
Oh, okay. I just felt like you put in that part that it was with your mouth, and so
it's so good though. It's just amazing. And
other options.
A few.
I
wasn't always the classy lady you see before you today.
Let me run through the things over on our discussion group real quick. This was, I don't know. That's about beer. I'm passing that. This guy's taking awesome close-up pictures of insects with this insane oh, that is super cool picture of a spider.
Oh, that's amazing.
Look at that camera though. Like that's insane.
Man.
But watch how close. Look at this one with the eyes. Like that's.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I love macro photography, and I'm not that good at it.
That's cool. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I always see the post about the copperheads and their anti-venom and their venom being used for breast cancer drugs. Oh. Robert, you posted this one about Dogma because we talked about it last time.
Yep.
I haven't seen that movie in forever.
Well, they're making a sequel, right, Robert? That was the plan?
Yes, allegedly.
And someone else bought the rights to Dogma, so now we'll actually be able to watch it on somewhere other than YouTube eventually.
Yeah.
Just trying to go through real quick. See. Past that, it's the dumbass in North Carolina. Here's somebody with a snake bite.
Oh, that
One
guy.
of a rattlesnake social behavior. A bird swoops near a pile of newborn rattlesnakes, startling them, and the adult rattlesnake kind of like moves in. So it's
Oh.
interesting to see kind of possibly a caring behavior in reptiles and rattlesnakes. What else? Oh, there's a toad climbing a wall.
But he doesn't make it. Poor guy.
Aw.
Poor toad. That's a long way to fall.
Darren Watson said he drove out to a Steelers game, worst drive ever. Reach a point where when I run out of farms, just nothing, not even the trees. He said 6-hour drive for me. For Texas folks, that's like going to the store.
Yeah.
So we did drive 4 hours this weekend to get to Johnson City.
Yes, we did.
I saw this one. This is the one, Gatorland, where the croc has decided it's going to start cleaning its own enclosure.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I find them ridiculously adorable. Like their little faces. I don't know. I just think they're so freaking cute.
Except it's a Cuban croc, and that thing can outrun me. Fuck that.
Man.
Those things gallop.
Yeah, I think
what
the
else
first
we got?
time I saw like an alligator run, I was like, oh.
That's some sort of viper biting a tomato.
Sir, that is not a food for you.
It's injured. You can, if you watch the video real close, you can see that
Aw,
it's
well, now I'm
snapped.
sad.
biting.
There's Garden State Tortoise and his crazy box turtle.
Man, box turtles are the best. They have the biggest personalities of any animal that I've got, I think.
And then this is the post again. If you're listening, go join our Patreon. We posted our video from the Houston Zoo over on Patreon. Again, you do like $3 a month, and it helps us out a ton. Plus, this episode will go out earlier on Patreon. That video's there, and we will put the video for Reptilandia and Texas Carpet Fest on there once I get that all edited. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of animals there. I tried to get as much of them as I could. I did not get them all, but I got the main ones. I will be posting. I'm going to do a small video on the croc monitor enclosure, and I'll post that on our Facebook because we talk about it all the time on the podcast. So I want everybody to be able to see that enclosure. That will be posted on there, but everything else will get posted in Patreon. You'll get to see that interview with Michael Pinnell when the lights went out on us. We were there once the lights went out on the animals. That was interesting. But so, anyways, that is it for that. All right, Robert is hungry. I need to figure out what my family's doing because they're home, but no one's come to see me, so I don't know what's going
Imagine
on.
that. You're probably going to get murdered when you go downstairs, but whatever.
It's fine. I got chocolate chip cookies downstairs.
We were talking about it this
man.
weekend about how everybody is like, Katie's the sweetest person ever, and James is always like, what the fuck are y'all talking about?
Everybody's like, I don't know how she puts up with you. I'm like, please, I'm the easy one to get along with. But so if people want to reach out to you, Jessica, if they want to preferably help you with the rescue and not give you more animals,
That would be great.
how can they get a hold of you?
We have an email, lumpylizardrescue@gmail.com. We also have the Facebook page. You do not have to type in the whole
Type the whole thing. Lumpy lizard, reptile, poultry, and exotics rescue.
If you type in lumpy lizard, I think all that pops up is us in a liquor store. So like we're the one without bourbon. Sorry.
Good luck on trying to figure out which one it is.
My husband said I don't know about all that. So yeah, you can find us on Facebook is where I'm most active. We also have like an Instagram, but Facebook is where I'm the most active. So that's where you can find us.
Darren, she's not going to murder me. She has to have someone that will put up with her. I promise. I'm safe. No one else is dealing with all this crazy. So reach out. If you need to get a hold of us, it's the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, at gmail.com. Check out. I really need to post more stuff on Simply Serpents on Facebook because I got animals I need to sell and get the hell out of here because I am running out of space. Yeah, Robert, you got anything else?
No.
Oh, good. May have many words.
Food.
Not a thing.
Jessica, if you'll hang out for a second, everyone else,
Okay.
we will see y'all next week with someone. We'll figure it out between now and then. Y'all have a good week. Again, go join our Patreon. We greatly appreciate it. Good night, guys.